The 6 levels of work is a framework described in the Getting Things Done book that helps you take a big picture perspective when you're deciding what to do. These 6 levels, also known as the horizons of focus, can be really helpful in helping you decide what to prioritize in your life. In this video, I'll talk a bit about how I'm using the horizons of focus and applying them to prioritize things in my life and work. Hey y'all, Organizing Higher, welcome or welcome back. I share organization and productivity tips, tools, and resources, so be sure to subscribe if you're into stuff like that. If anything that I say during the video resonates with you, if you could hit that thumbs up button, it's really helpful for my channel and helps other people to get the word out about this video. Think of the horizons of focus as floors on a building or levels in a building. And each level is getting guidance or messaging from the levels above it. So if you only spend time on one level, then you're really missing out on the perspective that you might get if you went up a couple of floors. It's by visiting these higher levels with some kind of frequency that you gain that sense of confidence that you have the perspective that you need to ensure that the decision that you're making, whatever you're deciding to prioritize that day, is truly the priority for you. On the first floor, or the ground level, are the day-to-day actions that I do. This could be anything on my next actions list, stuff that unexpectedly pops up, or any kind of routines that I have. A lot of people spend most, if not all, of their day or their week just at this individual level, at the ground level, and they never really make it any higher than this. This can be frustrating though if you're not looking at the bigger picture perspective, because maybe you might be working on tasks that are no longer relevant or really shouldn't be getting the attention that you're giving it. On the second floor are projects. I personally don't separate my work from my personal projects in my task manager Todoist. I just have a running list of everything, but I do color code my personal projects so that I can see them separately from my work projects. Having a complete project list does 2 main things for me. First, it helps me to stay on top of and in front of projects or commitments that I've made to make sure that I am making pretty steady progress on those projects. Every week during my weekly review, I'll look and either remind myself, oh yeah, I need to follow up on this, or I'm still waiting on this, or I have this deliverable due. So that way I make sure that I'm getting closer to completing that particular project. Second, and probably most powerful for me, is it helps me to feel good about saying no to taking on new tasks. And it keeps me honest about saying no to taking on new tasks. It's almost like a visual representation of my capacity. Right now, I have about 30 active projects at varying sizes, and I'm not at capacity, but I am not bored either. I'm closer to capacity than I am to being bored. And so that means that I'm pretty selective about taking on new opportunities that come at me. There's always so many things I'm super excited about, or ideas that I have, or things that I want to do, but I look at that projects list and I remind myself right now I don't have the capacity for that. So this is where I would use my someday maybe list to add any kind of, oh my gosh, I would love to do this. I just add that to my someday maybe list. So that way, once I finish up some projects that I'm working on right now, I can look at that someday maybe list and decide if I want to pull forward some inactive projects now that I have capacity and time. On the third floor, the third level, are areas of focus, or sometimes called areas of responsibility. These are areas in my life that I want to maintain to a certain standard, or certain identities that I hold. The important thing to keep in mind at this level is things are constantly going to be changing, and sometimes they're changing based on decisions that you make, and sometimes they're changing based on just the world and things that happen to you. And so as each of these areas of responsibility or areas of focus change, the things on the floors beneath them need to change as well. So my area of responsibility as being a mom, that happened about 3 years ago, has changed some of the projects that I have. So now I have projects like planning birthday parties, whereas before I had a kid, that wouldn't have been something that would have been an area of responsibility for me. And so I wouldn't have had a project associated with that. On the other hand, as things change, you get new jobs or relationships change, then some of the projects and tasks that you had related to those relationships or jobs are no longer relevant and can be removed from your projects lists. One new area of focus for me is my one-on-one productivity coaching, where I help people with their workflows and personal productivity. While it's super interesting to me and it's something I definitely enjoy doing, it's also not something that's super salient to my identity, meaning in 5 or 10 years, it might be something that's no longer applicable. It may no longer be an area of responsibility for me. That would mean that any projects associated with this particular area of responsibility or area of focus would end up being deleted from my list. On the 4th floor, the 4th level, are goals that you have that are short term, maybe 1 to 3 years or so. I'm not a huge goal setter, I'm not a resolutioner, but I do have a couple of personal goals, and professionally, I do have annual goals that I have to do for performance evaluations and things like that. I visit these goals pretty regularly because my goals determine the projects that I need to take on in order to achieve those goals. So for example, I have a goal this year of coaching 10 coaching clients. I'm about halfway there right now. And a couple of the projects that I have associated with that include making my YouTube videos and posting on Instagram. On the 5th floor are longer term goals and visions. So this might be goals that are 3 to 5 years out. Even though it's still something that I'm letting happen organically, I do have vision for my coaching business. I would love to add a newsletter that I send out maybe monthly or bi-monthly. I love the idea of posting more frequently, so maybe twice a week with videos. And I'd love to earn enough money from this to cash flow a house. Although with housing prices these days, that might take a little bit longer. But all of these things are going to take some time, and that's why within them, I have my goals. Within the goals, I have my projects. See where this is going? On the 6th and final floor is purpose, your life's purpose. This is honestly the floor I spend the least amount of time on and the least amount of time really thinking about. There's definitely certain values that I have, and I think about how I want to be remembered, and living a life of integrity is very important to me, but that's pretty much it. I do have some mantras that I do pretty regularly about my identity and kind of who I am and the things that I have in life. And that's pretty much as much time as I spend thinking about this top level. This is definitely the floor I need to visit more frequently, and I want to try to do a better job of visiting this floor more regularly. But it's so hard to, at age 35 to decide, like, what is your purpose? Like, why are you here? And I know that's going to be a lifelong journey to kind of figure that out. So while I'm not super stressed about not visiting this level often, it's still important to me that I eventually get to a point where I can start to kind of connect the dots on the things that I've already been doing, the things that I enjoy doing, and to realize trends to recognize what my purpose is. And that'll be a really exciting day. And I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing beneath this floor, in the goals that I have, the vision, the projects, and the tasks, that everything is in alignment. Because just like with a building, if any of these floors are out of alignment with each other, the whole thing could come crashing down. That's how I'm applying the horizons of focus to my life and work. Are you using the horizons of focus in your GTD journey? Are there some floors that you visit more often and floors that you visit less often? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great week.